All right, what's up, everybody? What is today? Tuesday. I should know that. We do these every Tuesday. Okay. Today's video or podcast, this might seem like the title is a bit clickbaity, if that's an actual word, but I promise you, it's not clickbait, even though it will make a fantastic clickbait title. So today's episode could be encapsulated as, ready? Your workout should not be very difficult. And that's immediately could be taken out of context. So, yes, your workout should not be very difficult. Allow me to, let's go on a little walk, okay? So, anybody who follows along probably knows that I'm a bit of a book nerd. Reading a great book right now that I would highly recommend to anybody. Got it next to me here. It is, it's probably backwards when I show you this here, but it's called Irresistible by Adam Atler. I don't have anything to do with this. I'm not, I don't get a cut of the book sales or whatnot. It's called Irresistible: The Rise of Addictive Technology and the Business of Keeping Us Hooked. Really good book. I'm about 250 pages in. I got about, 70 left or so. And a lot of times when I'm reading whatever it is that I happen to be reading, I'm often struck by some sort of parallel to CrossFit or to working out or to what people are struggling with or dealing with that I see in the fitness landscape. And even though this is a book about addictive technology, there were some things that I thought were spot on and really beneficial. So that leads me back to your workout should not be very difficult, ideally. So here's how it came about that. A big part of this book is about what makes a very addictive experience online or in a gaming world or things like that. And obviously, the people who make Instagram and Facebook or Fortnite or whatever, game or social media platform it happens to be, spend a lot of time, money, and resources figuring out what's the perfect recipe to make you stay on social media or keep playing that game, because they make more money, they show you more ads or whatnot. So there's some very smart people trying to find the perfect mixture. And I had a revelation a bit to CrossFit and programming when reading that. So stick with me for a sec. If we're talking about the book, the gaming world, social media world, what makes an addictive experience, they also dove into how human beings think. How do human beings learn? What motivates them? Because the more these gaming designers and social media platform designers understand human psychology, interaction, they're going to make a better, more addictive experience, right? So they crack the code on that. That helps them make addictive games. And they basically identified, if you can picture like three concentric rings, almost like a bullseye with three rings outside the bullseye. In the middle is things that you can do with no help. So they're easy, okay? Just easy things you can do with no help. The next step beyond that are things or tasks that you can do, but you do require a little bit of help, okay? Maybe not a ton, but they're a little bit outside your grasp at the moment. Then the next ring out that are things which are profoundly difficult. You can't do them at all without help, and you need a ton of help. They're very, very difficult. Well, that little sweet spot, they called it the zone of proximal development. And that's that sweet spot of things that you can do, but you need just a teeny little bit of help. They're just outside your grasp. When you extend your hand, you can just about feel them. You're so close you can almost touch it. Well, that zone of proximal development, that sweet spot, learning was maximized there when you had a goal that was not too far away, but just outside reach. And in that zone, people seemed to be motivated to progress and continue, so it kept them engaged. And then people actually enjoyed the process, right? If something was too challenging, it made you feel stupid, made you feel incompetent, you didn't enjoy the process. If it was something that was so easy you could do it standing on your head with no help, Well, that wasn't engaging either. So people spent a lot of time trying to identify this zone of proximal development, and that would make such an addictive experience for somebody online or in a game or whatnot. Dovetailed onto that was a Hungarian psychologist who published a book by the name of Flow, published that book in 1990. I hope that I get his last name correct, this Hungarian psychologist. Csikszentmihalyi, I believe is how you say it. So anyway, he basically identified, if you could think of like a chart with an XY axis, okay? So the x-axis is on the bottom, the y-axis is the vertical axis. And on the bottom, you had skill level, your skill level, and on the other axis, it had the level of the challenge. Okay, so we're talking about two things. Your skill level at whatever the task happens to be, and then the challenge presented to you. And this could be the challenge of the video game level that you're trying to get across. Or, in my mind, workouts popped into this right away when I saw this. You have the skill level of the athlete, right? Either low, medium, or high. And then you have the challenge presented by the workout. Is it a low challenge, a moderate challenge, or a high challenge? And much like we said a second ago with that zone of proximal development, that we wanted to find that area or zone that mastering the challenge kept people engaged. There was a proper and intelligent escalation in the difficulty, and the challenge that you wanted to tackle had to match your personal skill level in a beautiful sweet spot. If the challenge level, be it a video game or a workout, right, to take it back to CrossFit, if the challenge level was really high, extremely high challenge, workout, video game, whatever, and your skill level was low, well, that's too much. It's an overreach. And the users or the athletes, they experienced anxiety, they experienced frustration, they failed frequently, and they just wanted to quit. So that was a really bad combo. Low skill level on the user, high skill level on the challenge. Bad combo. And I say that applies perfectly inside a gym setting as well. Conversely, the opposite was true. If you had a very high skill level, but the challenge was very low, it was well below your abilities, well, that was too easy. And that made people grow bored, and they quit for that reason. So what they wanted to find was, again, that sweet spot where the challenge was slightly difficult. Not overwhelmingly so, not exceedingly so. The challenge should be slightly difficult based upon your skill level. And this stimulated learning, it stimulated growth, people rose to meet the challenge, and they stayed motivated and they wanted to improve. So it was a beautiful area to be in. A lot of times at Linchpin, now bringing it back to working out and fitness, because that's where my mind went when I read this in the book, a lot of times in Linchpin we use the phrase appropriately challenging, and it can be hard to define a little bit, but it's exactly tied into what I just discussed in this book about social media and video games and experiences. Appropriately challenging, well, that's where video game designers want to make their video games so that you stay hooked, you don't get frustrated, you stay engaged, and it's fun and motivating. If the challenge is too high, you fail, you get frustrated, you get bored, you quit. If the challenge is too low, it doesn't hold your attention either. So neither one of those are useful. Same with workouts. We want workouts to be appropriately challenging based upon the skill level of the athlete. And that's why, potentially, when I first said what the title of this podcast would be, people might have balked at it or it didn't seem right when I said that your workout should not be very difficult. Well, I chose those words specifically, right? Because I said very difficult. And your workout shouldn't be very difficult, because very difficult would imply that it's not just slightly beyond your reach or your skill level, but it's wildly beyond your current skill level. And okay, maybe you're a unique butterfly that's going to be okay with that, but most people, if they are presented with something that is wildly outside their current skill level, they're going to do exactly what they found in this book. You're going to fail, you're going to be frustrated, you're going to experience anxiety, and you're most likely going to quit. There's a very low chance that you're going to stick with it because it's just demoralizing. So your workout should not be very difficult. Your workout should be slightly difficult. That's a beautiful place to be. It should be slightly difficult based upon your current skill level. And again, that comes back down to that nice phrase we use at Linchpin, appropriately challenging. Now, the interesting thing about finding what is appropriately challenging for you, or just slightly difficult for you, is that it's a moving target because we do so many different things in CrossFit. Maybe you're quite competent with the power lifts, squat, dead, press, but your skill level is much lower with the Olympic lifts of the clean and jerk and the snatch. Well, then you're going to have to modulate your expectations and modify the workout based upon the workout today and based upon your current skill level. Is this workout exceedingly difficult and far too difficult? Or is it too easy for you? Or is it in that beautiful sweet spot that will encourage development, keep you motivated, keep you fired up, and is just enough of a reach to have you rise to the occasion? Maybe you're great with the barbell, not so good with body weight movements, right? Again, it's a moving target. Whatever appropriately challenging is a moving target. We could say the same thing about track days. Most of us probably know one or two CrossFitters that are notorious for blowing off track days. So they could very well be a barbell hero with a very high skill level in Olympic lifting. You go to the track day and they appear to be a total novice. Hey, that's okay. We're all working on different things, but you have to have that knowledge of self. You have to have that knowledge a little bit, again, this the point of this entire podcast, of human psychology and what keeps people motivated, what keeps them fired up, what stimulates growth, and then apply that knowledge to yourself so that you can make the best decisions possible every day that will drive you forward mentally and physically without burning you out, without feeling high levels of frustration and anxiety, and giving you that appropriate challenge, because that's what's going to keep you fired up and keep you good to go. And that is why personal experimentation comes into play, scaling and modifying workouts, and improving your baseline knowledge of of programming, of scaling, and of modifying, because scaling is cool. And scaling and modifying workouts, that's the path. To tie it back to what we said earlier, scaling and modifying workouts, aka experimentation, that is the path to finding your personal zone of proximal development, as they mention in this particular book about social media addictions, but that sweet spot for you, of finding what's appropriately challenging for you. And that's why we have these talks. That's why, at CrossFit Linchpin, we've built a very supportive, encouraging community where ideas are shared and you go back and forth, because that's going to be the long-term path for your physical fitness, your mental health, your joint health, the whole 9 yards. So never stop learning, I guess, is what it's all about. But keep that in mind. And I think hopefully understanding these concepts that we mentioned here a second ago will help some people if maybe they struggle with scaling or modifying. There are those folks out there that they just see the workout of the day and it's prescribed. You've got to do it prescribed. And if I don't do it prescribed, then I'm not going to get fit today, and the day's a wash, and I didn't perform. And that's all absolutely ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. That workout of the day, if it fits your needs based upon your current skill level and the difficulty of the day's workouts, then great. Knock it out exactly as it's written. But if you do a little self-assessment and the skill level or the challenge level, they just don't line up in the sweet spot where they should, you are 100% authorized to modify that workout so that it does meet your personal sweet spot. And that's fantastic, and I encourage everybody to do that. There were some, also, I won't dive into them now, maybe it'll be another podcast. There was a lot of very interesting similarities where in this book about social media addictions and things like that, there were some interesting crossovers to CrossFit in general and what helps make CrossFit addictive. And I'm not using that in the bad sense, but addictive and sticky so that people want to come back and keep doing it. It was some fascinating parallels. So maybe we'll go down that rabbit hole at a different time. But that's it. Scaling is cool. Modifying is cool. Assess yourself, your skill level. Assess the challenge level of the workout or the task that is presented before you. And make whatever little adjustments you need to find what is appropriately challenging. And that will provide you with a long, happy, healthy time working out. So that's it. Have a great day, and we will talk later.